Hello, everyone. Welcome to Undoing the Culture of Silence. This is episode 3. Um, so today I'm gonna be having Tolu Adura. Oh, he's here already. So I'm just going to link him in. Just one second. Hello, sir. Good to have you here.
Yeah, good evening.
Staying at your time.
Yeah. How are you?
Nice to have you. Thank you for coming on this show. This is Undoing the Culture of Silence series. And what we do here is talk about difficult topics. I actually just earned a church online and they were talking about mental health. So it's a big win to actually hear those kind of conversations now coming out of our pulpit. And so uh, all of this stems from my personal experience with sexual abuse as a child and just having mental health issues as a result of that. And, being at a place where, God has been faithful and, I still believe that I'm on a healing journey, right? But I believe that God would want us to speak for others who can find their voice. And so everything that has even the slightest tie to that kind of experience, whether it is stigma around mental illness, whether it is, just teaching people how to, um, take care of their children and protect against things like child sexual abuse, or whether it is even addiction issues that can come out of that, right? Things like pornography, masturbation, things like addiction to hard drugs or anything else. And so I want to have those conversations just as a way of getting people comfortable to talk about these things, and for people who have experienced anything of the sort, as a way of letting them know that they are not alone and that they can find help and healing. And just, I believe strongly that silence around these things is a strong weapon of the enemy, hence why we have to undo that culture of silence. So I'm really grateful to have you here. It is nice to also read your book. Oh my God, your book is wow. So welcome.
Thank you very much. How do you want us to?
Oh, I'll ask you questions and then you can provide answers. So hopefully, and then after this, I will share the video and I'll tag you once I have it shared and all of that. So I want you to actually, first of all, start by telling us your personal story and struggle. Pornography and masturbation was something that you yourself dealt with. How did that come about? What was that like? And, just what was the story there?
Okay, all right. Thank you one more time, Anita, for having me. For every time I get to speak about sexual issues, especially pornography, and masturbation, I do not take any of these invites for granted. Everyone is very special, in its own way. It's like an opportunity for me to, create more awareness on this issue.
Yeah.
And so for me, really, it's a combination of factors that got me into it in the first place. A combination of factors, and I'm happy it happened that way for me, because I'm sure different people can relate to these different factors. So it's almost like my life was supposed to be like some sort of template, or experiments, that a lot of people would be able to, relate to or draw insights from. So for me, peer pressure to very terrible esteem issues. I had self-esteem issues. But something that was very important for me, I think the most important, was the fact that I was abused.
Yeah.
In school, I was in GSS 2, that was junior secondary school 2, second year, when I was abused by a senior. So it's a guy with a guy.
Yeah.
This part of the world is I mean, guys would probably even brag if it was a lady. It's better. It's somewhat better. It's a better evil if it's a lady, that
Yeah.
abused me sexually than for a guy. So that spiraled into deeper issues for me. It made me I was very angry about it. I was very, very
Mm.
angry. I couldn't talk to anybody about it. That's this
Yeah.
culture of silence, this conspiracy of
Exactly.
silence. In fact, in my book, there's a chapter, dedicated to what pornography and masturbation thrives in, which is silence or secrecy. The same thing.
Yep.
That's the only.
By the way, that chapter inspired that catchphrase, silence is a weapon of the enemy. Just so you know, I want to give credit where credit is due. That chapter actually inspired that because I kept thinking about it and I'm like, it is so true. Anyway, let's not spill the beans. People buy the book. It's good.
We'll come back to that. So, of course, in this part of the world, we are not encouraged to talk about stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just there's no explanation for it, but just somehow, it's not well received. And then coupled with the fact that for guys, it's much more difficult for guys to open up.
Exactly.
Recently, I was feeling very terrible, about and depressed about what's happening with these protests and stuff. That I've actually suffered and lost loved ones. I've also, had my fair share of police brutality and all of that with my wife and my baby in the car, and still just come up with whatever, and you escort us to the ATM to get out money, with the officer with his gun in the car, with a woman, a mother, and a child, and all of that kind of stuff, But in this part of the world, guys are not expected. Men generally are not expected to open up. It's seen as a sign of weakness. You hear men don't cry. It's a terrible phrase. It's nonsense. I make bold to say that it's a terrible statement.
Yes.
That men don't cry and all that. It has made men to continue to box, to continue to deal with issues, and then it has given an opportunity for issues to become bigger, to continue to grow. As I said, lust generally thrives in secrecy or silence. So the fact that you do not talk about it is going to continue to get worse.
Exactly.
It's going to continue to get worse. For some people, being caught at a particular stage in their life dealing with something is probably the best thing that would have happened to them, because somehow, they probably dealt with shame for a bit, and then it made them conscious. It made them, to begin to do something about it, and they got better.
Yes.
But imagine if you're not caught, and you've now normalized, your brain has normalized what is actually supposed to be wrong, and you continue to do it. Not being caught just gives you this very terrible negative confidence that nothing is going to happen. I'll be able to get away with it. But the day you are eventually going to get exposed, it will have been too late. There's more damage that will have been done. The scars will be bigger.
Sorry, Tolu. I seem to be having issues with my volume for some reason. I'm not sure what just happened.
Okay.
I'm just gonna try and fix that. It might mean I might need to leave and get back in.
Okay.
I really hope not. Oh.
But
can you say something? Let me just see if
can you hear me?
Anything has changed.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's just very faint.
Faint. Maybe
sorry. Okay, I might actually have to go out and come back in. Sorry, guys. In the meantime, I'm just gonna say thank you for joining. Welcome, Dami. Welcome, Beam. Welcome, Funsho. Welcome, Mrs. Ife Adura. Mrs. Adura is here with us. Thank you for coming. Okay, I might need to maybe I think it's my end. I might need to leave and come back in.
All right.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
it might
it's fine.
bounce you off, so I don't know, but let's see. Hi, Toyin. Thank you for being here. Okay. Tolu is back. Welcome back. Okay, welcome back, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I honestly, yeah, I just kind of lost my volume and I could not hear you. It was really faint, so I had to go out and come back in. Thank you, everyone who's here. So we have Tolu with us. Thank you for joining Becky Spice. That's my big sis from way back. So we're just talking about how, Tolu's personal experience with how he got into pornography and masturbation as an addiction, and what that was like. So I'll just let you continue from where we stopped.
Yeah, well, I don't know. This happens a couple of times when we want to talk about issues like this. Like the devil is just doing his own thing.
Right? He does not want us to talk. We will say us okay on everything.
Yeah. So, as I said before, it's a combination of factors from the esteem issues to peer pressure to the abuse, which is the major one for me. Yeah, I was abused by a senior. Made me give him oral sex. In that time, we were scared of seniors than our teachers. Unlike what we have now, where I've been to a couple of schools, secondary schools, and I see how the juniors relate with their seniors. I'm like, you guys are chilling now. In those days, man, you can't look your senior in his eyes. Like, you rather get into trouble with your teacher than you get in trouble with your senior in school. So that's, of course, that messed me up. Then again, much later too, my own puberty rates was slower than my contemporaries. Yeah. So when guys were gisting about their little beards and deep voice and wet dreams and stuff, I didn't have any of those experiences. Like nothing happened to me. So I began to get worried. Am I okay? Is something wrong with me? And the devil knows how to manipulate all of these kind of feelings, to get us engaged in vices. And so at that point, checking naked pictures and stuff in my mind was a very logical, reasonable solution to a problem. And that was how my mind, interpreted it. If I check this, maybe it's going to spoil my system, to work, maybe for whatever reason. So I don't know why it's slow, but if I see one or two things and all of that, but trust me, the first time will never be the last. And even when you achieve that aim, that goal. So I can remember when I had my first wet dreams experience. Oh my God, I was so excited. Called my best friend. Do you know what happened? Blah blah. But I felt like yes. So I'm convinced now that I'm fine. But trust me, man, those images and that stuff already had its impact on me. So those are the things that, for me, got me into it. Of course, curiosity too is a combination of many factors for me. But the major ones for me was the fact that my puberty rate was slower than others, which is not an abnormal thing. It's just like having someone that is fair and having someone that is dark, someone that has a long neck and short. It's just literally that. It's not supposed to be a big deal, And the abuse was major for me, So those are the things that got me with it.
Wow, that's like a lot. And I do believe that, with your experience, there's like a spectrum of causal factors. And I believe that there is, for anybody who probably has struggled with pornography and masturbation before or still struggling, I'm sure there's maybe pieces of that so that they can draw on as to what their own causal factors might have been. And just to reiterate, there was the self-esteem issues, there was, peer pressure, and then the big one is actually sexual abuse. And for me, I always tie the sexual abuse to the mental health piece. And there's so many things to fight for and so many things to talk about and raise awareness. But I choose to hone in on those two, and it's a very huge one for me, right? And this wasn't even sexual abuse from the opposite sex. It was sexual abuse from someone within. And for the longest time, as you mentioned in your book, you, even as a Christian, you still had these struggles, you still had this concern. So I just want you to help us understand, if you were a Christian and you're having all those issues and struggles, how bad really do you think it is within the church and amongst Christians?
Well, let me talk majorly, concentrating on our demographic, Nigeria, Africa. it's a big deal. You know, we for a long time we're not encouraged to actually express ourselves. Yeah,
That's right.
we're not encouraged to speak up, to express ourselves. Like there's a rule for literally everything, and you're not to ask questions. You know, it is now that parents are understanding that hey, you need to engage your children.
Your
You need to
kids.
engage
Yeah.
them. You need to make them understand why. So it's not just don't do this.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Don't do this because of this. You know, this is the reason why we advise. So you are negotiating, explaining, and that's what it takes right now. But in those days, we didn't enjoy that. So that made a lot of people, you know, it was an avenue for the enemy, for the devil to suggest, or you know, lure people into vices, into habits, you know, and then there's no acceptance. There's some things. Growing up, when a female wearing trousers was a big deal, she was almost seen as a prostitute.
Yeah. I got chased out of a couple churches for that.
Yeah, but you know, people are beginning to understand that. Where did we even get this notion, this idea from? You know,
yeah.
There's knowledge on the increase. I was explaining to someone this evening that the same Bible verse that is being quoted to support the idea of women not wearing trousers and all of that it is quoted in wrong context. It is quoted, but that's another story. You know, that's not what.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, I believe a lot of believers, Christians, are struggling silently, because there is judgment. Judgment is not necessarily bad. As Christians, as human beings, we judge situations. We judge this is wrong, this is right. That is judgment in itself. On separating wrong from right. But we judge without love. Yeah, we judge without love. So there's some sort of shame.
Yes.
There's shame, and guilt that is attached to someone whose personal struggle is exposed. And so a lot of people have seen how this person has been treated, how this person's personal issue has become general gist, just mere gist. And the person is sort of stigma attached to that person. Oh, well, let me just keep my stuff to myself.
That's right.
You rather keep it yourself, and that's where the culture of silence, that's what people encouraged or enhanced, that culture of silence. And that's part of the things that we're trying to undo now. So the opposite is creating awareness. Let's begin to talk about it. Let's make it easy for people. Let's create platforms for people to come out and open up.
That's right.
The only way to begin to get help or to get better is simply by opening up. That is literally the first step. Like once you open up, they will know that there's actually a problem. They will begin to look for solutions to the problem. But if you keep quiet, you continue to sink in, and whatever that vice or habit is going to take you to, man, only God knows. So it's better to speak up.
Okay, so that means it's actually a lot more prevalent in churches and among Christians than we would care to admit. Yes. And you talked about the opportunity to create you talked about creating opportunities for people to come out and express themselves and talk about the struggles that they have. Thank you for joining, Madam Idola. Sorry, I'm so sorry if I murder your name. Thank you, Tejas, for being here. Thank you, AJK. Thank you, Temi Pita. I feel like that's probably pronounced wrong too. I'm sorry if I murder your name. Please, I apologize. All right, so you talked about creating these opportunities and avenues for people to come out and talk about these things. Let's start with the family, right? Let's start from that. So a child, let's say, a teenager is struggling with masturbation and pornography. What should, and maybe they're looking for help on how to come out, and they come out to a parent and say, Mom, Dad, this is what I've been struggling with. What is the practical way that a parent should go about dealing with that situation? Let's even say they somehow have the boldness to go out to their parents, right? what is the practical way that as a parent you should help your child navigate that experience?
So that's a very beautiful question, because I like to also address parents. Especially parents in this generation. A lot of parents are actually far from reality, very far from reality. I mean, it is.
I'm glad someone else said it other than me.
What did you say?
I said I'm glad somebody other than me said that.
well, I mean, it's sad, but it's true. I mean,
yeah,
it's
so
to be
true.
ignorant to believe, or to still be thinking that in this age and time, social media doesn't have any good, doesn't have any advantage. You know, I mean, we know it is through social media that this whole police brutality issue is being proclaimed and is gaining ground. You know, for me, there's no peculiar or particular rule or principle or set of steps, but there are things to consider. There are things that must be absorbed and understood. First is, have you created that environment, that atmosphere for your children to, you know, confidently open up to you? Yeah. Have you? That's one. Are you friends? I mean, are you friends with your children? Not, you know, not. I'm not saying that you should be too familiar, as far like you can't give instructions or there's no discipline. No, you know how you have some friends where if they misbehave or they do something that do not make sense, you can call them, you can just talk to them.
Yeah,
hey,
that's
hey,
right.
young guy, young man, this thing doesn't make sense, man. I mean, you are bigger than this, now you're better than this. You know, and that will not threaten the friendship, the relationship.
That's right.
Instead, it's going to strengthen it. Now, have you created that platform? Then what is your response like? Yeah, as a parent, because anything is going to make you as a parent to express shock, disbelief, disdain. You have lost it. You have lost those children. They will never open up to you again, and it is usually another opportunity, for them to keep struggling until, you know, the worst happens or tends to happen. Now, so create the platform, create the opportunity for people like us that get to counsel people every now and then. One thing that I would to do is never to make the person talking to me, opening up to me, feel uncomfortable. Instead, I kind of downplay whatever it is that, you know, they've done. I kind of downplay it, because children in this instance and other people generally that decide to talk about whatever personal sexual issues that they're having, especially pornography, masturbation, it takes guts. In fact, it's very courageous for them to even decide that, you know,
that's right.
open up. So you must be very careful with how you receive the information. Your facial expressions, your body language.
That's right.
Very important. You must show concern. Yeah, you must show concern. You must show a lot of love, because it is a lot. It takes a lot to actually open up, especially in our climes. Yeah,
that's right.
It takes a lot. So I believe that if, as a parent, your child comes to you to open up to you, make the child understand. You know, reassure that child that you actually love this child. You love the child. Then make the child understand that, see, what you have done is not abnormal. It's not the worst. You're not the worst person. But you appreciate the child for even opening up. Like, thank you for talking to me about this. Let that child, you know, earn that child's trust. Yeah. And then it's a lot of work for parents, sincerely. But if it is done properly, you would be glad that you adopted the right attitude, you know, to address the issue. So I believe those are the most important things. Once you create the right platform, you show them a lot of love. You make them know that, see, I love you, and I know that this is not who you are. You try to, you know, inquire, ask questions. How did this thing start? Let them see concern, genuine concern. Because
that's right.
People who have issues, who have been messed up, they are the most sensitive people. Extra sensitive. In fact, when someone decided to open up, is actually going to test you. It's not going to tell you everything. It's going to tell you probably 5% of the issues, and it's observing you, your physical, your facial expressions, is observing your body language, the words, the set of words you're using, in your communication, is observing it. If it's not favorable, then whatever information it just ends there. It just, it just, I don't know what to use now. He just, beats around the bush.
Goes back into their shell and say nothing.
Just beats around the bush. He goes back to the shell, beats around the bush. He ends there. But if he sees concern, he sees love, he sees genuine interest, he sees that vibe of let's want to get to the bottom of this. I want to come out of this. Yeah. Then he goes beyond that 5% information that he has declared, and then now opens up truly. But trust me, the first few minutes he's testing you. Whatever information he has given, he has dispelled, is nothing compared to what he or she really wants to talk about. So I believe the attitude is very important of you as a parent. So that's where we miss it, especially the parents of the older generation. That's where they lost us. That's basically where they lost us. So that's
and I'm glad you mentioned all that, right? And even just the piece of that initial reaction and the impact that can have in whether or not that conversation moves forward for the benefit of the child, and also also acknowledging the fact that it can be a lot for any parent to take in all fairness, even for the parents, sometimes they might feel like, where did I miss this? How did I not see this coming? How did I not see my child in trouble? And how about the church? How does that, I would like to believe that some of the things you've already mentioned for what the parents can do also applies to the church. But is there anything additional that as a church we can help, create that opportunity, create that platform, and, help people who might be struggling with addictions such as porn and masturbation?
So for the church has a very key role to play. The church is supposed to be that institution that dictates behavior, morality. Yeah. So the church should do everything to reduce or even totally cancel out stigmatizing people that are struggling with real issues like this. There's usually stigma. From the church. A lot of times, a lot of churches, when they realize that a particular minister or worker had some sexual issues or whatever, the way the institution is treated, handled is terrible. It's not the best. A lot can be done differently. That naming and shaming thing, calling someone out,
telling everybody what he did,
it's not necessary for me.
Yeah.
Relieve the person of whatever, responsibility with the aim of attending to the issues, addressing the problem. Holding the person's, you're literally holding the person's hand through a journey of repentance, of you're taking the person through therapy, literally. So the church should also use the platform to address these issues more. And make people understand that people, we are still human beings. Yeah, it's good to do theology, knowledge of God, and that is part. We can't run away from it. That is normal. That's like a constant. But we should also begin to use our platform to address real issues that people are dealing with on a day-to-day basis, such as these sexual issues, especially those issues that are highly secretive.
That's right.
Issues that people would naturally not talk about. So use that church
platform. And we're light, right? Sorry to jump in, but we are light, and these are things that happen in the dark places. Yes. And as lights, we should just come and shine light on these things, rather than choose to encourage the darkness by not addressing them.
Yes, so that's one. Two, the church should do some sort of education, educate people, let people understand that, hey, it is okay. You need to show love to people who are having real struggles like this. We should all determine to be the right person. In the real sense of it, be your brother's keeper.
That's right.
So we should be the accountability partners for people, dealing with real struggles like this. And so if
That's
we can
right.
change the mindset of people, you know, when we get to know that our brother so is dealing with so and so, yeah, it's easy for us to embrace our brother. You know, it's easy for us to embrace the person and you know, work out a plan, make that person accountable to us, make that person comfortable to open up to us. Sir, I fell for it again yesterday. You know, and then you're not going to, so we must do to balance things, making it obvious that this is wrong, but much more showing love and support, you know, and understanding, you know, that's I feel that's more effective. I feel that if the church can actually change the pattern, the ideology, and create a proper platform, a lot of people would actually open up. And by opening up, then there's that opportunity, there's that possibility that they'll get solutions to their problems.
Yes, and I believe so too. Thank you so much for that. Welcome, Lucas. I'm just going to say hi to a couple of people who just joined. Welcome, Dapo Ajibade. Welcome, Damia Demi. Welcome, Sharon. Welcome, Kutangura, Ani, Toby. Welcome, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you taking time to be here. So we just talked about certain things that the parents can do and what the church can do to help, you know, people who are struggling with pornography and masturbation break free. One question I want to ask before we even move forward to other things is, oftentimes when people think pornography and masturbation, they automatically think it's a boy issue. Two things, actually. They think it's just guys that are involved, or that it's always, and mostly teenage boys. Can you help us debunk that myth? Is it a myth, or is it the fact or reality? And if it's not the fact and reality, please just help us put all sorts of holes in that bubble that we've created for ourselves.
I mean, beautiful. You're asking all the right questions. So it's a myth. I mean, just categorically, no story there. We don't need to dwell too much on that. It's a myth. But the fact again is the way pornography is done, the way it is created, is created for men. 1, 2, men are it's predominantly men, or the male gender, that indulges or struggles with pornography. So you have like 70% men or boys, as the case may be, or the male gender that struggles with pornography. Women also do struggle with, in fact, we're having more women struggling with it. But the way it works here, women are more at the receiving end. They are more at the receiving end. You know, pornography, the word pornography, the direct translation in Greek, is prostitutes or prostitution. So there's a direct relationship, a direct link between pornography and prostitution, sex trade, child or sex abuse, rape, and all sorts. So men majorly do porn, but doesn't mean that women also do not. We have more women that are involved in pornography and masturbation. And then it's not just teenagers. Yes, a lot of teenagers, deal with it and all of that. But we have a lot of adults too. The teenager that dealt with pornography or deals with pornography, if not checked, will become more addicted to it, and then will not begin to, or is likely to express other tendencies that pornography can lead one into. For example, tendencies of sexual perversion, of bestiality, pedophilia, and the rest. So pornography is usually a foundation for bigger, deeper, sexual perversions or extreme sexual tendencies. So it's not just teenagers, even though a lot of, it's predominantly the young generation, the youths that deal with it. A lot of people, a lot of adults. If you check pastors.com, this website of what's this guy's name? Forgotten his name. This I'll remember.
Is it a pastor?
Purpose-driven life. It's not purpose-driven life.
Oh, Rick Warren.
I think Rick Warren. He has a website, pastors.com. he had he did a research. He had, there was a platform, was a conference for men, for pastors, yeah, and they were lodged in hotels and stuff. By the time that conference was done, they realized, they checked the search history of the computers in the hotel rooms, yeah, and they realized that at least 30% of the pastors were doing porn.
Wow.
Pastors that attended a
pastor's conference.
And for me, it is more than 30%. Those are the guys that are not, they've not mastered, the act of cleaning up their mess. The others, there are some that will have done this thing and they know how to clear the history.
They know how to clean up the cache.
Clean up, and you won't see any trace. But the ones that they found, were about 30%. I mean, and these are not young people. These are not teenagers. So in fact, pornography has been a major, one of the leading causes of divorce. Pornography addiction, because what it does is it exaggerates your sexual desires beyond what a human being can satisfy. So you want more, and you have desires for even extreme things, but you cannot. Those desires cannot find expression in your wife. Literally. So automatically, you are more likely to do more porn, you're more likely to masturbate, you're more likely to patronize prostitutes. To go with prostitutes, you can do more. There are more pretty sexual things that, practices that you can indulge with a prostitute, but not with your wife. You cannot even ask for your wife to do certain things sexually.
That's right.
But the fear of being, being suspected to be weird, to be abnormal, you just start creating unnecessary fear and doubts and all of that.
Yeah.
You just want your business, you want to just keep your business a secret. So you are more likely to go out and, get a prostitute and do more stuff. But even with prostitutes, there's still a limit. So, because the desires that have been created is like this. It's just wide.
Yeah.
But your capacity, your natural endowment to fulfill some of these desires is like this. Can never match, can never meet up. So it's a big problem. It's a big problem. So I mean, we have to dispel that myth that it's just guys and then it's just teenagers. I've got a lot of married people, men and women, that have confided in me. I need help. I've been dealing with this thing for so long. Married people, I've got ministers, I've got adults, full-grown adults with children, just confided in me, very confident, and begging me to be very confidential about it and all of that. So it's not just teenagers.
Well, and I guess implied in that is the fact that marriage does not even solve it. No, because like you rightly mentioned, it's just the desires are pretty wide, and then the capacity to fulfill those desires is pretty small, right? So it's something that I know that a lot of people get even more trapped with the mindset of, oh, well, when I get married, it will stop. And I've heard that a number of times, right? And it's unfortunately, from what you've just said, if it's one of the indirect causes of divorce, it just means that even marriage cannot solve it, because the desires get wider, and marriage even just adds more constriction to the opportunities that you can create for yourself if you were single. So it's really important that we're talking about these things, really, because again, too many people suffer in silence, and that's not good. And in one of the researches that I had done, pornography and masturbation was also a leading cause in suicides. Right? And I believe you mentioned that in your book as well. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I was.
Yes, exactly. Right. I believe you mentioned that in that it has direct impact on mental health. It has direct impact on, the possibility that such persons, can also become abusers. Like in your case, you were also abused, and that was one of the causal factors, right? There's also the fear that, I don't want to be worse than this. If I'm already thinking this, if I'm supposed to be straight, and then now I'm already viewing gay materials, what's to say that I won't go on to the next level of perversion? What if I find myself starting to have desires towards children? What if I find myself starting to feel like I need to forcefully have sex with someone? There's all that fear. And for some people, because they're afraid, they don't want to cross, another level of perversion, they solve it by taking their own lives, So and these are some of the reasons why it's really important that we're talking about this, and shedding the light on the dangers of it. And as far as shedding the light on dangers of it go, there are studies that have come out to say that masturbation and pornography is actually good. As a matter of fact, in Canada, and as a parent, one of the things that we're battling with is this concept and idea of trying to normalize it by introducing these things at our schools. I work with teenagers at my church, and some of them have told me that there are times that they actually teach them some of these things to say it's normal, it's okay. Is it really okay though?
Of course, it's not okay. And to mention, I do not envy some of you raising children outside Nigeria. I know that this thing happens well here, but our system, our culture has not embraced it, and I hope we don't get to that point where we're now liberal and we're passive.
I really hope so too.
I mean, it's a bigger challenge for you guys because you are up against forces, against the government, literally, against the government in those crimes, having a different opinion, and I actually pity. I mean, I feel for you guys there, but God will help you. God will help you. But,
Thank you for sympathizing with us.
Yeah, but you have there's more work for you to do. There's actually more work for you to do because I mean, you have to even be careful so that your child doesn't, children are children.
That's right.
If the teacher gets a notion, a vibe that that daddy and mommy is being a what was the word? Is being a racist, as regards homosexual stuff and all of that. It can almost become a bigger issue for you as a parent. And so you're fighting a lot of fighting bigger forces. As people say, after God is government. But the work is at home. The family has always been and will continue to be the foundation, the bedrock of the culture of a society. So if the right values are instilled in every family unit, then we can say that the society will be good. We can say that there will be less crime rates, and all of that. But porn is wrong. Pornography is wrong. Just think about it. Think about it, in this way. Looking at what makes looking at another person's nude or naked body good. What makes it okay? If it's not okay to do that, then it's not okay to do that, even though the person is just on the screen. Yeah,
that's right.
I know what the media is doing now. They're trying to normalize it. They're really doing a lot to normalize it, normalize nudity. It's difficult to send a music video right now without half nude girls. That's right. The music video, literally. We have nudist communities. I mean, nudist communities. Wow. Is this same nudity that makes strip clubs to trend, to get a lot of patronage? There's just something about it. It's totally wrong. It's totally wrong. Let's understand that it is wrong because of the extreme tendencies that are associated with the practice. That sometimes we need to go beyond spiritual and just be logical. Just be logical.
That's right.
I mean, if this thing has the tendency to make you abuse an innocent child, to make you indulge in bestiality, having sex with an animal. I've met people that have confided in me. I've been sleeping with an animal. I've slept with animals. Health-wise, it is extreme. It's terrible. It's dangerous. Pedophilia, rape. It starts from somewhere. I've had a secondary school young boy. I think was in SS1, senior secondary school, the first year, and he told me his porn addiction has gotten him into homosexual practice.
Mm.
And if that's not enough, he has the desire to rape. A young boy already has the desire. He said desire. He has the desire to rape. That boy is, that boy is a recipe for disaster.
That's right.
It's a recipe for disaster. Sadly, we do not have a lot of people that can provide help. How many places can I be at the same time? How many people can I talk to at the same time? So we need to begin to address these issues. So I like to exaggerate, not necessarily exaggerate, but I like to bring to bear the extreme tendencies. You know, the extreme tendencies. If you are making us about sex trading and sex slave, yeah, pornography is the root cause. Pornography is the root cause. In fact, that is a major way that they get people that would feature in pornographic materials.
That's right.
Child pornography is becoming something. It's becoming a big deal now. It's as at more than 3-4 years ago, it was worth $3 billion. The child pornography industry was worth $3 billion. It's a big deal. So if we use these real life issues that has devastated many lives and families, if we use it, if we don't bring it to bear, this is statistics. And I like the fact that this statistics is usually carried out by people that are liberalists or even atheists.
That's right.
It just helps. There are people that they don't have any religious sentiments. So they're not like exaggerating the issues. They're not, there's no emotional or sentimental influence in the research. They're just doing pure research.
That's right.
In fact, if you see in the book, there's an article by a porn producer, an article that he published. In his mind, he was trying to hype a lot of the work that he puts into producing, a pornographic material, clip or video, but it was helping me to tell people that this thing is just based on fantasy. It is not realistic. It is not possible. It's not possible to have sex for 3-4 hours. It's not possible. A lot goes into making these clips. But somehow what we see, we believe, or we think it's achievable. And then there's that desire in us to be able to replicate what we have seen or what we have seen over the years. And it's not possible. It is actually not just possible. So you see that you've already been trapped, and it's the mind. But something that you see over and over again. I've watched, even on Netflix, people should check documentaries. The pornographic documentaries, like they're not showing porn, but just documentaries about porn artists, mentioning pornographic celebrities. Yeah. And a lot of them say that with their own mouth, telling people that this thing, there's a lot of emptiness, a lot of depression, a lot of that. They get out of it. But because of a life pattern, they find themselves back into it, even though they know that this thing destroys them. So we have the statistics. So let's not go spiritual. Let's even talk about it on a logical, intellectual basis. Let's bring facts and figures. The same way
that's right.
So Ravi Zacharias, he talks about Jesus in the most intellectual, the most intelligent way.
Yes.
So let's come from, because the generation that we have now, they will argue with you. And
that's right. They believe in logic.
So this is logic. And we have a lot of people too that are pro pornography. Yeah, we have intelligent people, respected people, that are pro. That is sad. That also makes the work much more difficult for us. But trust me, the negative is way more than whatever positive they are trying to portray. There's actually nothing positive about it. Nothing. I know people that a lot of people have confided in me, even though the act in itself, anything sexual is pleasurable. And even as parents, we must make our children understand it's pleasurable. But if it's done at the wrong time and in the wrong context, it will end in to end in destruction.
Yes.
There's a lot of damage. People that you love will be affected. So the so-called fun or pleasure that you have, few minutes of pleasure, is it now worth it eventually? So the act in itself of anything sexual is pleasurable, but what is the end result? It is emptiness. I talk to these people on a daily basis. I have like 3 people that after this session, I have to now, begin to bring you to have a conversation with, that have confided, that have opened up to me. We need to talk. When you see the first two lines, in your notification, okay, this is another case.
Yeah.
They know that they enjoy the process, but it creates more emptiness. More emptiness and that feeling where you have no control over your life.
Yeah.
No control. That's what has led a lot of parents, a lot of men to abuse their own children. It starts small, it starts little. And the devil is responsible for pushing this narrative that there's no big deal, that it is normal for every guy to have dealt with pornography or masturbation at some point in his life. They make it look normal. They make it look like that's normal. It's part of those things that you must experience. No, the devil is pushing it a lot, and we are accepting it, we are receiving it, but we need to begin to now bring out good word, bring out good message from, especially using our churches, the platform of our churches and our leaders. And for me, that's what we should employ.
Yeah, and push back. Okay, thank you. So I think Instagram doesn't even let us go beyond the 1 hour mark. So I'm gonna take one last question, and I'm gonna say, using your own life and how you finally broke free, how can somebody, come out of this?
There are a lot of things to be done, but first you have to accept that you have a problem, which we just talked about. The world is normalizing it. In fact, the world has normalized it.
That's right.
I mean, some parts of the world now, they are pushing for you not on the birth certificate of a child, not determining the gender.
The gender.
Let the child grow and decide. If you try to open a new Gmail account, email, you realize that under the gender portion, it's not just male or female anymore. There is others. There are other options. So the world is normalizing it. But you have to accept, you have to understand that this thing is a problem first. If you do not accept, you have not started, you are not ready. Accept that you have a problem. Accept that it is a problem and you have a problem. Then you call it his right name. You know how that's another agenda of the devil, to change nomenclature, to play with words. Someone that is engaging in what we used to know as fornication has now been replaced with words or phrases like being sexually active. It doesn't portray anything that is
doesn't sound harmful.
but over time, sexually active, your brain now, what's the word? Interprets it as, or receives it as something that is okay, something that is not dangerous.
Yeah.
What we grew up to know as adultery. We now use words like, or phrases like extramarital affairs. Extramarital affairs. Just listen to that. Extramarital affairs. And these are words being used to normalize and and create acceptance for what is naturally wrong. And so you see the LGBTQ, there are new alphabets, LGBTQIA, and then there's a plus. They are making room for other new sexual professions and preferences and identities and all of that. So we have to accept that this is the problem. This is against what God expects, against God's demands and all of that first. Then we need to expose it. That's where this whole culture of silence is addressed. We need to expose it. Anything that you're struggling with that is negative, that you do not expose, will eventually destroy you. It may take a while, but eventually. See people like Bill Cosby, sadly. He's over 70. He was supposed to be enjoying his wealth. Now, enjoying his wealth, enjoying his money and his influence and giving back and all of that. He's probably very broke now. Having cases here and there. He's not living a good life right now. But it's long before the damage was eventually done. So we need to expose it. We need to begin to talk about it. If you know you have issues with this thing, expose it. prayerfully ask God, God, lead me to someone that you would help me, that I can be accountable to, that will
That's
not
right.
make that worse for me, that will not, I won't begin to hear my gist everywhere. Some pastors or some leaders, we don't expose things that issues that were confided in. Yeah, they expose these things on platforms, and it's sad. We need to learn to be confidential. We need to learn to be accountable. Be their right accountable partners and all of that. So how to be free eliminates all the temptations to go back into it. I mean, for me, I'm accountable. I have a mentor and a couple of friends that I'm accountable to, apart from my wife, which is my first accountability partner. But again, I'm going beyond that. My mentor and my wife have access to my Instagram from their own devices. They have my username and my password. So I cannot even search for whatever I'm not supposed to search for on Instagram, because people check it. God help me that they see some of the things I just searched for. That is not proper. There are all sorts of accounts and profiles on Instagram that are we have all sorts. We have all sorts that are not helpful. That encourages lust. So I set the boundaries, and that's what it's tough. It's not one day's job. It's actually a process. It is actually a process, because science has proven that the damage that cocaine addiction does to the brain is the same damage pornography addiction does. That's scientific. Wow. That's purely scientific. I know from experience that pornography does worse damage to the brain, because for hard drugs, for substances, you have to rely on something, right? On a physical substance. But for pornography, for lust, it's in your mind.
It's in your mind. That's right.
In my core addiction, I got to a point where I did not need a picture or a video to masturbate to. I could only condition my mind, and in a few minutes I have ejaculated. That was how messed up I got. I did not need to. So even if you are locked up somewhere, you don't have access to internet and TV, whatever, you can still continue to indulge because of what you have thought. So it's a process to declutter, to clean up your mind. It's a process. You get rid of this negativity, this lust, this perversion that's in your mind, and then you have to now begin to fill it up, replace it. People concentrate too much on taking it out, but they do not, they forget that they have to replace with now things that are good.
With something.
Whenever I'm online, I'm watching TV, I'm looking for National Geographic, I'm looking for extreme sports, and cars and stunts and all of that. That's like new for me. Instead of checking stuff around, because we cannot 100% cut off internet, cut off your phone usage. So we have to find a way around it, and it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. So you have to be accountable. A lot of things. You have to confess. That's the spiritual way now. Confess to your Father and then open up. That say, this is the problem. I have this problem. You need to help me. You need to send people to me or someone to me that I can be accountable to. That will not indulge me. They will not patronize me, but at the same time will show me a lot of love. At the same time, I will not feel too ashamed to open up when I fall short, when I relapse, because they see that part of relapse. It's not especially if you have been addicted.
Yeah, and you probably have been in the addiction for a while anyway, right? So it might take you a while to also get out of it.
It takes a while too, but a lot of work, a lot of efforts. But you must be determined. You must be determined. Don't get tired whenever you relapse. Immediately come back up, get back up. Not to encourage indulgence and all of that. But see, this thing is not very easy. But with the grace of God, and by employing the right plans and strategies, accountability and all of that, we can come clean again. We can come clean again. Even for cocaine addicts, what they do to them in therapy is they continue to give them the cocaine, but they reduce the quantity in bits that the naked eye may not be able to recognize.
Yes.
So what you see every day looks like looks like the normal thing, but it is reducing, but your naked eye cannot fathom it. So you're dealing with mind. So over time, what this quantity becomes this quantity. But this quantity Yeah, it looks like this is what has always been. It is the mind, but it's a gradual process. It's a for effective, lasting, sustainable change. It's the process, and then literally you may have to just be on top of your game literally for the rest of your life, because that area is still always going to be an opportunity for the devil to come back to attack. That's an area that you have been weak to already, in your system, your body, your mind has did not have any control over. So it's still a platform, it's still an opportunity to still get for the devil to still get back to you. So we have to, it's a lot of work, but it is very, very possible. It is very possible. So there are many other things, very many other things, but these are some key.
Yeah. No, and there's a lot more. Really, there's a lot more, like you said. It's in your book, people. You've heard. If you're online right now, thank you for being with us till this moment. And for anybody who gets to see this after the live session, Tolu Adura has a book called Beneath the Sheets. I have read the book myself. It is powerful. It is packed. It is practical. It is spiritual. For me, I'm one of those people who hammer on practical spirituality, and I know that it's a concept that especially older generation can't seem to get. But like one pastor said, it's time to bring back cerebral Christianity, where yes, there's the Word of God, but even within that Word of God, there's a book of Proverbs, and it's full of wisdom, practical things to do to help you live life. God is a very practical God. He can be supernatural. He is supernatural, but he put laws and principles in place as part of what to guide our behaviors. All right, and so it's important that when we need to apply wisdom and do something in the physical, we apply wisdom and do it in the physical. And when we now need God's intervention to come in, even He, by His own sovereignty, will step in through His mercy and help us as well. So really, the book it's a beautiful book. If you're struggling, or someone who is struggling, or even it's a very good resource. If you're a youth pastor, if you're someone who have teenagers, it's a very good resource to have. Just as a way of encouraging someone to break free. And yes, breaking free is possible. All right. So I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much for, one, coming out with your story, for two, choosing to talk about these things. I'm working on a video where I'm actually going to be debunking some myths on sexual abuse. And one of it is actually, you are the testimony of one of it, which is that not only girls get raped, boys get raped too. All right. And these are some of the after effects of rape experiences, and why it's important that we put a stop to these things. And the first step is always speaking out and speaking out loud, and then when we are able to undo this culture of silence that we've allowed ourselves, be enveloped by, it's easier to help everybody else break free. All right. So I just want to say thank you so much. Before we go, because I know this thing might start timing us, counting us down soon. Any last words?
What can I say? Well, for those of you connected, if we're going to watch this clip much later, and you have this struggle, and no one knows about it, I need to encourage you to prayerfully ask God to lead you to the right person that can open up to. You can't do this thing alone. That's a fact. You need someone. You need help. You need accountability. You need someone that will show a lot of love, but at the same time will not indulge you, will not patronize you. That is, and the first step is to expose it. Talk about it. Do not be silent, because the more you are silent, the deeper you are, the more likely you are to express some of the very extreme tendencies. I engaged in bestiality once. I never in my life would have imagined trying to do something with an animal sexually. It's something that would never have resonated well with me. I did it. I did it, but it started small. And so the fact that you've not done anything extreme, even though you're dealing with lust generally, or especially pornography or masturbation, it does not mean that you are not you're not in the journey
Mm-hmm.
to extreme tendencies, to a world of extreme perversion. And eventually you will hurt yourself, you hurt everyone that matters to you. But more importantly, you're likely to destroy your own life. You're likely to destroy your own life and many others. Yes, for many people, you're victims. Yeah. And there's usually, I don't know how it works yet, I'm yet to understand it, but victims a lot of times are very likely to become predators.
Yeah.
The victim of yesterday is likely to become a predator tomorrow. Trust me, you don't want to deal with that guilt and that burden. You don't want to carry that burden of having to harm an innocent person or a child. So please open up. You have not gone, and if you think you've done some extreme crazy things, Facebook can even pick me. Trust me, there's nothing that will surprise me. Nothing.
Yeah.
I've handled all sorts of cases. Yeah, there is a way out. Just know that there's a way out. There's no problem that does not have a solution. No problem. Especially when God is involved. Yes, there are practical steps, but it is only God that guarantees sustainable change. Only God.
That's right.
So I want to encourage you to open up. Yeah, I prayed to God to lead me to someone, and He did. And I am in that place now. Yeah, and even when you've started the process of trying to get better, of breaking free, getting clean, and you relapse every once in a while, please do not be discouraged. Do not let it discourage you. This is something that you were hands on, literally on a daily basis. You do not expect the devil to make the process easy for you. So it's going to come with everything. It's going to try to frustrate you, maybe at work. It's going to use all sorts, and they're suggesting itself as a good friend, you know, to lay your head on his shoulders. But it's usually a trick. Just be determined. It is possible. You can be clean again. And then think about your future. Think about the family you want to raise. You cannot still be struggling with stuff like this and expect that your children will come out better. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It never works. Even if your children do not know about your secret struggles, there's a connection even in the spiritual and how it will affect them. And even the Bible talks about it, how the sins of the father can affect you up to the third and fourth generation. So you need to think about stuff like this. So please, be bold and be courageous to open up, determined to open up. It's better that you even get some sort of shame, yeah, and at least secure your future and your destiny, than for you to be silent, yeah, and protect your ego. And then eventually,
it will still come out.
It will come out. It will be exposed. There are many people that are working, respected people that are walking on the streets, thinking that nobody knows about some of the things that they do in secret. That people know, but the right opportunity, the right events or circumstance has not come to play that would expose them. It's a matter of time. So please, I encourage you to speak out, speak up. You are not abnormal. You are not the only person. Many people are struggling with this thing. Many people. You'll be amazed. You'll be amazed. Some of the people in those days. Sometimes when I used to check some crazy, some very X-rated profiles, you know, on Instagram, you'll be amazed of some people that are reputable people that I saw that are following some of these people, some of these channels, some of these, you know, so-called, there's some girls that just like to always just twerk on Instagram, and that's all they have, posting very X-rated pictures and stuff. I've seen a lot of respected, I've showed my wife, see this person, let's just be silent. If the person is struggling with lust on that level, it will come out one day somehow. So it's either you expose yourself by yourself or something exposes you. And I pray that will be, because the damage is much, 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 much worse if you are found out compared to if you open up, if you come out yourself. So I pray that God helps us in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you so much. Our countdown has started and we have 5 seconds left. So have a good evening. Thank you so much. And